Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wack Reviews. I am Wackaroni, and I'm going to talk about a movie. I'm going to talk about the movie Ant-Man. I'm going in the MCU in not chronological order of when they were released in theaters. There will be spoilers, so spoiler alert. Anybody? Spoiler alert, I will be going pretty in depth with the things that happen in the movie, and then at the end, I'm going to tell you how I felt about it and maybe bring up specific things that I liked. So, if you haven't seen the movie and you want to see it, don't watch this yet. Our movie starts in 1989 with a flashback of Michael Douglas, who is playing Hank Pym, walking into a SHIELD facility where Peggy Carter, Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark, and some other muckety muck guy that I can't remember his name, and I don't really care who he is. Michael Douglas is definitely a little de-aged, but it's not really noticeable. I thought it worked fine. And Hank Pym is angry because they have been using his Pym particle, or they stole it. They're trying to use his Pym particle. Affects the atoms and molecules in things, and it's his research, and he doesn't want Shield to have their grubby little hands on it. The stupid muckety muck guy I was saying, I don't know his name. He says something. He was like, "Well, if you fought this hard, the way you're fighting us on this, if you fought that hard, you would have been able to save your wife." Like, what'd you say? And he just fucking like smacks his head down in the table. Don't you ever talk about my wife. Then we're in present day and we meet Scott Lang. He is a criminal just getting out of prison, and he's picked up Paul Rudd, played by Paul Rudd, and he's picked up by his friend Michael Pena. I can't remember what his name is in the movie. And yeah, he makes a lot of jokes. They're riding in his van, and they're catching up, and he wants him to do like another criminal job with them, but he's like, no, man, I'm not gonna do that. I need to take care of my daughter and stuff. I don't want to go back to jail. And he's like, all right, well, so you got to get a regular job then, I guess. So he goes and works like Baskin Robbins, and he gets fired immediately because they find out who he is. We find out that he was doing good crimes against like big evil corporations, and it's like manipulating the computing system so that they'd lose money, something like that. So he's sort of an anti-hero at the moment. Now, also in present day, Hank Pym goes back to visit his labs. He has not been in his labs in a really long time. This guy Darren Cross has sort of taken over. Darren Cross is showing them old grainy black and white footage of the so-called Ant-Man that would like go on secret missions, and he was a little tiny thing that barely got picked up on camera, and everybody thought he was a myth. But Darren Cross knows that it's not a myth because he's found a way to use one of the Pym particles, or some version of it that he's worked out. Part of the demonstration is him showing them these new cool little yellow jacket suits that will shrink a man down into these little yellow jacket, little tiny mech suit thingies. So the yellow jacket will be this little mercenary for hire. They can make a bunch of them. They can make a whole army of the yellow jackets where they'll put people in this suit and they'll shrink down, and they can send them off on covert missions to assassinate or fuck up governments and stuff like that. I thought it was really funny that in the lab there's this tiny little white model of a small building, and I couldn't help but think of Zoolander. It's like, what is this, a center for ants? And it actually kind of looks like the little building. A center for ants! I know at some point in the comics, Ant-Man actually went by the name Yellow Jacket, and his suit was slightly different. I honestly didn't know who Darren Cross was, but he's obviously a villain in this one. I'm going to sell to the highest bidder these little killing machines. Hank Pym's adult daughter works very closely with Cross, but it seems that she doesn't really like her father, Hank Pym. One of the guys at the demonstration that he was trying to convince to put money into this, or buy the Yellow Jacket project from him, says this is a really bad idea. It's not a safe decision for anybody to make, and this is a really dangerous thing that you're doing. And then just right there in the restroom, Darren Cross uses this little thing to like kind of zap him, and it just turns him to goo. like it doesn't shrink him, so he hasn't worked the formula all the way out yet. So he knows how to shrink non-organic material, so he hasn't worked out that part yet. Scott Lang realizes he needs to pay child support so he can get back into his daughter's life, and so he decides that he will take another criminal job. So Michael Pena is trying to explain how he got the information for this next criminal job they're going to do, and there's a very funny montage. I really like the way that they did this little thing. So it's Michael Pena's voice coming out of other people's mouths as he's explaining how he got the information. It's like, yeah, so anyway, my friend Pookie, he said there's this place, and if you go there, there's a safe, and there's really cool stuff in that safe. And it's just like other people's mouths saying his words, and it's really cute and funny. Scott breaks into this house, and there's this secure door, and he uses his intellect and scientific skills to get into that door, and then there's a safe, and it's like a safe that he wasn't expecting. But since he's so smart, he's able to figure out a little way to like freeze the door off its hinges and just sort of bust it open. But he gets in there, and there's no mountains of cash, there's no gold, there's no like real treasure. But he finds a little suit. He's like, I found this little motorcycle suit in here. So he just walks out and takes the suit with him. At home, Scott pulls out the suit and decides to put it on. And he's in the bathroom, and he stands in the tub, and he puts on the helmet. He noticed there's little buttons on the gloves, and so he presses the buttons, and he shrinks into a tiny little man. Funny little scene where he sort of gets flushed down a drain into some downstairs stuff going on, and Hank Pym starts talking to him through the helmet. I let you steal my suit. Like, I hope you know what you're getting yourself into, and I think I'm gonna let you help me do a thing because you stole from me. But Scott's like, I don't like what's going on here. It's freaking him out. So Scott actually takes the suit back, tries to break back into Hank Pym's house and put the suit back, but he gets stopped by the cops and taken to jail. Hank secretly meets with him in jail. He's like, once you get back to your cell, there's going to be something that happens and you need to pay close attention. And a bunch of ants come into his little jail cell, and they've got tiny little Ant-Man suit. They press the button thing apparently, and so the suit gets large again. You know, he's like, all right, I got to put on the suit. I got to shrink. I got to get out of here. He escapes out of there on a flying ant, but it's really disorienting, and he's like, he passes out because he's a tiny little dude on an ant. He wakes up in Hank Pym's house, and Hope, his daughter Hope, is standing there, and she's like, come downstairs and see what's going on. And Hank Pym's down there, and he asks him to do a job. And Hope is angry because she's like, I already know how to do all this stuff. Like, use the suit, control ants. He learns that with this little device, he can communicate with ants and they can do his bidding, and the ants can help him. Meanwhile, Darren Cross has finally figured out how to shrink something. He shrinks a sheep, and it turns into a little tiny sheep, and he flicks the bottle, and it's kind of funny. Hank doesn't want his daughter using it because the suit is dangerous. And the mission is dangerous, but also the suit is dangerous. We find out that the reason Hank Pym won't use the suit anymore is because he used it for years, and because of the technology, it sort of messes with your brain. It's not good for you. It makes you kind of off, kind of crazy, demented, I guess, which is sort of what's happened to Darren Cross, I think. Scott eventually agrees to help so that he can get his daughter back in his life, and that's a good motivating factor for him to be able to learn how to control the ants. And there's like a training montage where he's learning how to shrink and get big, and then shrink again, jump through the keyhole, go underground, talk to the ants. He starts to figure shit out. And we learned that you must never go subatomic. If you mess with the regulator thing that's on the belt, you can go subatomic and be in a place called the quantum realm, where nothing matters. It's infinity, and reality doesn't really exist because you've gone small beyond small beyond small beyond atomic, and you end up in this realm. He's got these little discs, and he throws them, and he says the red ones will shrink and the blue ones will enlarge things. Hank, explains the story of how his wife was the Wasp. She worked with him when he was Ant-Man to try and stop a missile from going off. They were really tiny, and they were on the missile, but they couldn't get through the titanium, and he wasn't able to go subatomic, but his wife did it. She shrank subatomic, went through the molecules, and stopped the missile from exploding. But she was lost in the quantum realm. So it's been years, and they haven't seen her. That's part of the reason why he didn't want his daughter Hope involved, because something like that could happen. And he never. And the reason she hates him is because he never explained what happened to Mom, basically. Something called a signal decoy needs to be found. So they plan to go to some building to get this signal decoy, whatever the hell that is. It's the Avengers facility. The signal decoy is in their new facility, and it's being guarded by the Falcon. So there's a neat little scene where Ant-Man like introduces himself, and he's like, I'm Ant-Man, and Falcon sort of chases him around, and he gets small, and he's in the grass, and he's trying to shoot him, and he like got in Falcon's suit real small and started like ripping electronics out of it, so he manages to get away. Scott Lang managed to get the little signal decoy thing, so they're ready to start their mission to infiltrate and steal the Yellow Jacket. Michael Pena has more funny scenes. He's a treasure. He's a darling. They get into the lab, and he like punches a guard and does some funny goofy shit. Ant-Man's doing all kinds of really cool ant shit. They got the fire ants and the flying ants, and they're all helping them. They're all like messing with the electronics and the computers and stuff in there. Darren Cross knew that they were coming and set up a little trap and manages to trap tiny little Ant-Man inside this little glass case thing. Scott uses one of the discs, the shrinking or growing discs. I don't remember which one he uses, but he throws it into the glass case, and it like shatters the glass, and he's able to get out of there. And everybody sort of fights, and they're trying to get out of there. Hank Pym gives them this little necklace that he has that has a little toy tank on it. Guess what? It's not a toy tank. It's a real tank that he shrunk and put on a necklace. There's a lot of questions about the physics in this stuff. I'm not going to even bother like trying to get into it. Okay, I'll get into it a little bit. If Tiny Ant-Man still has like the force of a full-grown person, wouldn't the tank still be as heavy as a tank and just like break his neck if he was wearing it? Like, I don't know. Some of that stuff doesn't really make sense, but whatever. It's quantum. Quantum is the answer to things. Quantum is quantum science. But they take the tiny tank and they make it big and are able to just bust out of the building and escape. Somehow the little flying ant that Scott is on manages to get into this helicopter that Darren's trying to escape from, which also doesn't make sense to me because how could a tiny little flying ant possibly get near a helicopter that already has its blades spinning? There's no fucking way. It'd be blown away immediately. Quantum physics. Ant-Man starts beating up the people on the helicopter, and then Yellow Jacket shows up, and they have a really cool fight where they're sort of getting bigger and smaller. Yellow Jacket has like laser things, cool like blue laser things shooting out of it. They have like a fight in a little suitcase that's sort of tumbling around, so there's neat little like you see inside the case they're both sort of tumbling around fighting, but in the real world it just looks like a suitcase with like lasers flying out of it. He manages to slap the Yellow Jacket into one of those bug zapper mosquito-y things, but he survives, and he comes for Scott Lang's daughter. So he goes and threatens him about his daughter, but he manages to get the daughter away. They have a neat little scene because she has like a toy train set with like Thomas the Tank Engine or something. So there's a neat little scene where it's like they're tiny and there's like a train coming, but it like hits one of them and it just sort of falls over because it's just a little toy. There's ants trying to help him and they're shooting each other, punching, growing, shrinking. It's all very fun. But yeah, the physics and logic of this like don't make any sense at all. Scott threw one of the discs and it hit one of the ants and it made the ant huge. And there's a little bit of a comical scene with the huge ant. He did the same with the Thomas the Tank Engine thing. So it sort of like gets big and like busts out of the side of the house or something. In order to stop Yellow Jacket, Scott realizes that he has to go subatomic to get into the Yellow Jacket's suit to stop him from killing his daughter and, getting away with all his evil stuff. And he does that. Yellow Jacket's suit, it shrinks into nothingness, and he starts sinking into the quantum realm, smaller and smaller. Everything stops making sense. There's very psychedelic, very cool looking visuals, and eventually he's just floating in a zone just by himself. Quantum realm. He's sort of hanging there, just sort of passed out because it's a lot of weird stuff to take in. But he hears his daughter somehow. Daddy, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? So he decides to mess with the regulator because the only way he's going to get out of there, he takes one of his discs and he slaps it in the regulator, and miraculously it works. He grows back to normal size. Again, don't ask about the physics of this thing. It's lucky that he turned back into regular size because he could have just gotten larger and larger or something. I mean, anything could have happened. And all is well. The family's sort of back together again. He's able to hang out with his daughter. They're keeping the giant ant that he had accidentally made as like a pet. The daughter's like feeding it under the table and petting it and stuff. And then Michael Pena decides to tell a news story about a new opportunity. And it's, again, another one of those funny montages where he's like, so I was talking to this girl, and she was talking about this, talking about that. And then we get our Stan Lee cameo, and it's really funny because it's Michael Pena's voice coming out of Stan Lee's mouth, and he's talking about some girl, and he's like, yeah, there was this girl, and she was really fine. And Stan Lee's like, yeah, she was super fine. But the end of the story is that is basically implying that the Avengers asked for Ant-Man to be a part of their team or something. There's a post-credit scene. Might have been mid-credits, maybe post-credits. Hank Pym and his daughter Hope, and Hank is like, I need to show you something. I have something for you. He opens up a door. It's the Wasp suit. He's like, this is yours. You're allowed to have this now. I trust you, and you don't have to worry about stuff, and you can be the new Wasp. You and Ant-Man can work together. I mean, without saying all that. That's basically what they're saying. It's like, you're about to be the new Wasp, baby. And then there is a second post-credits scene with Captain America and Falcon, and they have found Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and they've got him all, like, trapped, like, in a vice grip thing. Don't really know what that was all about, but it's setting up the next thing that we'll find out next time. So anyway, that's the whole movie. I loved it a lot. I don't think it's anywhere near my favorite of the Marvel movies. It's very much a smaller, more intimate type of a movie. It's not the grandiose. The villain is a giant with infinite power, and we all have to work together. No, it's just a little Ant-Man guy trying to save his daughter and help the world not have a horrible Yellow Jacket thing in it. Paul Rudd is very funny. He's very adorable and cute. I wouldn't say hilarious. Michael Pena, however, is very, very funny. Also adorable. Yeah, all the little montages with the voices. It's very, very fun. The secondary characters they're pretty fun. T.I. is in it, and another guy that I've seen from somewhere. I liked Michael Douglas. I liked his daughter. Sound design seemed cool. Visuals were pretty amazing. Everything looked pretty good. All the CGI and stuff, even though it's, silly, crazy, shrinking and growing, it all looks very good. It just sort of works. It sort of just works. And to me, it could have been its own little standalone thing. It didn't have to be a Marvel thing if it didn't need to be. But, of course, it works great, and it fits right in there. So I'm a pretty big fan of the movie. And if you haven't seen it and you'd like to, I think you should. Or if you have, I'd say watch it again because it's really fun. I hope you guys had fun watching this review. Feel free to leave a comment. I like hearing what you guys have to say. That will be it for me. Bye.
The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah.
Wanted to show you guys this thing I got from... I actually got this from a Comic-Con that I was working at. I used to sell artwork and do stuff at Comic-Cons, and right next to the table I was at, there was like a little toy store representative thing, and I saw this over there, and I thought it was cool. So I was like, hold that for me. I'm gonna buy that later, and so I got me a little Ant-Man figure. Little Ant-Man. I don't feel the need to take it out of the box. I'll end up losing some of the small pieces, so whatever. And Ant-Man! He's an ant. which is a thing that what the old mythol damn it kids mythol the old mythol I'm chopping broccoli. It's mythology, and one of the it looks different than the Ant-Man. God damn it, I'm doing this all fucking wrong. In the comics, one of the guys at the demonstration that he was trying to, one of the guys at the demonstration. Sort of cut that burp short there. I just cut that burp short. Scott breaks into Hank Pym's house. Okay. Okay. Hear me out. Okay. And they eat me. Ink Mang. They're fucking what? They're what? And he's like, I'm gonna something. I don't know. They control fucking asshole. The fuck, dude, I'm right in the middle of something. Sorry, guys. No, I'm not. I'm in the middle of recording. I'll catch you in a little bit. Dude, shut up. I said I'd be there in a little while. I'm right in the fucking middle. I'm literally recording right now. Dude, no you won't, because I'll hear the fucking vibrating and I'll have to cut all this shit out. Alright. I'm maybe halfway done, so if you leave me the fuck alone, I'll be able to join in a little while. Fucking assholes.